Hi all, it is June 26th and this weekend has been every season in Monday. It's been torrential rain, it's been thunder, it's been lightning. The sun's come out, it was like nearly 30 degrees at one point. Well, not really, but it felt like it. And yeah, strange weather. I thought I would quickly come on and do like a lap of the garden, because right now, in like this exact moment, it's probably looked the best it's looked all year. So yeah, I will do a whiz round, provided I hope the audio is good in this because the wind's so bad. But yeah, I'll let you have a wee look and see what's happening. So behind me here is Project Ryan, which is a wee bit windswept and a bit wind damaged, but all in all, it's coming together okay. I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but this border is actually themed to colour match my brother's car. He really likes vintage cars for some reason, and it's a weird burgundy colour. Apparently it's uncommon. I'm not dying about it, but it is what it is. So yeah, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've kind of got the planting to sort of correlate with it. Behind me then is the log wall, so nothing's really changed there. The log wall just, it holds its own. So windy today. And then down the steps to the middle there. Steps are looking really good at the moment as well. The fox and cubs, which is that orange flower, is out. There's actually a nest of wasps in here, which I'm going to have to find a way to get rid of. I'll quickly show you that actually. So down here on this level, as you may have seen in previous videos, I've got another Betula Jackmontii now in this bed, and that was to replace the eucalyptus that got damaged in Storm Eunice. Not much of the planting has changed in this area, so I still have all the Nepeta at the front. There's a bit of bog oak in between the Nepeta and then a backdrop of daylilies, and then behind that is glove thistles, fennel and some persicaria in there, a couple of alliums. And I've also planted, there's a gap there in the middle, just where that rowan tree's at. I've planted some veronicastrum, so hopefully that'll come up this year. The soil in there surprisingly is so dry, and I've noticed to date the soil in my garden increasingly is just really dry. So even though there was torrential rain, I will still water those bits and pieces in, which sounds ridiculous whenever the rainfall that's fell today has came down, but it just needs done. It's just an extra insurance measure. I don't like to mollycoddle anything too much, but I would just prefer that the plants were watered in a wee bit. Along the stone wall here at the back, the ferns and stuff and foxgloves have always naturally come through there, but I've also started to plant in lots of the Mexican fleabane daisy. And then circle on, so nothing's really changed there. That repetition is picked up then in the pig feeders, so again just that circle reoccurrence. This border here is starting to look really well. I'm really happy with it. This border is fully grown from divisions, cuttings, a couple of gifts from friends, or anything I've grown from seed. So it literally is 1 year's growth in that border. This area previously was my cut stem winter zone. I just used this for some of my winter crafts. It completely took all that out last October, so I'm really happy with the progress in that. Still quite young yet, obviously this border, you know, it's all the planting's not up too tall yet, but given how new it is, I'm really pleased with that. And then over where the bees were, and as I've mentioned before, and I've done another video about this, this used to be the wildflower meadow, which has now become a warm pallet border. The bees are actually getting a wee bit active there, so I'll not get too close, but the colours will hopefully come out quite soon in there. Still, this is also brand new. This bed's very free draining, probably the most free draining part of my garden, primarily because it's sand and gravel underneath that. So I've had to put extra topsoil in, I've put soil conditioner down, I've put plants in and I've barked it, and I'll probably have to put more mulch down in the autumn to try and get a nice sort of a nice sub base or substrate to work with, because at the moment the water just runs through it so quickly, the plants just dry out so fast. I've also planted my aloe veras in there just to get them out of the house for the summer, so they're on a wee summer holiday. Also because I can't afford an agave, so I just thought It's a poor man's Agave, isn't it, an Aloe Vera? Some weeds. So yeah, just stuck those in. It's a wee bit daft, it's a wee bit twee, but it's alright, we'll live with it. Behind me here, it's very difficult for the camera to pick this up, is my Stipa Gigantica. It's looking fantastic. So I have two of these on either side of the path, and yeah, they just have this really lovely gold tinge to them, and they just blow about in the breeze. So that's fantastic. I'm absolutely in love with those at the moment as well. That's all looking good, even though they just banged me in the head there. The pond also has water back in it, which is great to see. The pond had been empty there for a couple of weeks, just until I got inside and thinned out some of the water reeds, which were getting quite prolific. Pond plants as a whole, and as a rule of thumb, can be quite prolific in general. And don't get me wrong, I love them, I love the water reeds, but there was too many of them, so it's good to get them removed, or some of them removed anyway. And it just sort of has more visibility, then it lets you see the water a wee bit more. Then behind the pond is the Buddleia globosa, which is just above my head, which is a fantastic Buddleia. Has these round circular flowers like a globe shape. Globosa, obviously. They're orange. Buddleia globosa is one of the earliest Buddleias to flower. It flowers in June. It's not the longest flowering variety, it's the only thing that rags me about it, because I love it to bits. The bees are obsessed with it, but it is quite a short flowering period. That said, I will not have a fight with it. What I'm going to do, and I'll show you this other purple one quite shortly, I'm going to clear all this lower foliage and keep all this upper foliage. What I'm trying to do with my Buddleias is sort of turn them into multi-stem trees, although technically they are shrubs, but I think it just adds nice structure. I'm finding it really difficult to grow trees down here in this lower area because it's so wind exposed. So because the Buddleia growth can grow quite quickly and it can harden, it can sort of toughen up quite quickly, I'm not too worried if I ever lose a branch from them. I'll show you what I mean here now. So this is what I want to do with my Buddleia globosa. This one behind me here is just your standard This one behind me here is just your standard traditional purple flowering Buddleia. So you can see I've cleared all the bottom growth off, lifting that right up, getting that nice multi-stem effect, and then all the foliage is up there at the top, all the flowers will be up there, and that lets more light get in here at the bottom. So there's Astrantheas in there, there's Omphaeopogon, there's some Pulmonaria, there's a Hydrangea Limelight over there, and yeah, just lets all that natural light in without overshadowing this area, which is great. So just lets me add in a lower layer of colour underneath. And then probably my best looking border right now is the one that goes around the back of the pond here. So the foxgloves are doing really well, alliums are doing really well. That's Adium Gladiator, probably the best money I've ever spent on alliums. Those were pricey enough bulbs at the time, but they're looking fantastic. The Phlomis, or Jerusalem Sage, is doing really great. It's holding its own. Again, my issue with Phlomis is its flowering period sometimes can be quite short, although this year it's doing quite well. Last year it didn't hold out too long. The Lichness then in the background there, that's that lovely, lovely, lovely vivid sharp pink real magenta with the gold of the Stipa, and that's kind of the theme of this border, was really warm pinks with golds, orange, so really sort of clashy colours, silver as well. The yellow I was going to take out of here, but I really like it actually when I see it from a distance. What I'll do is in the autumn or next spring I'll divide this Phlomis and move parts of it along here just to continue the theme, because right now that's the only part or the only piece that's on here, and it sort of doesn't really tie in with the rest of the border. It looks a wee bit random. As I mentioned earlier, there's a Hydrangea Limelight back there, and this is the original one that I've always had. I got 10 of them last year from my friend Luke, who works at Woodview Garden Centre in Armagh. So hi Luke. He really pulled me out of a hole because I was absolutely desperate for them, just because it'll keep the continuation of a theme I'm doing. So this border looks fantastic right now. It's all the summer colours. I still have some Tithonias to put in. There's Verbena in there. There's squirrel tail grass, which I'm growing for the first time, that looks amazing. There's geums. Lots of cosmos seedlings have been planted. I got 2 Provoscias from Creative Gardens, and they're going to flower but sort of later on in the season. But the reason I keep coming back to that Hydrangea Particulata Limelight is because when it goes until it's kind of later summer autumnally phase of the year, The plants in here that will be doing the work, that will be bringing in the colour, will be the later on annuals, the zinnias, obviously the hydrangeas, the poppies if they're still there, the miscanthus. So yeah, those proboscias, the hydrangeas and the sedums and the stippas will all be doing the work later on in the season. So kind of when the nights start to turn again and these longer days start to fade out, those are the plants that will be working the hardest. And then at the front here is just sort of more silvers, pinks, purples, golds, a little bit of orange. Need to try and get more colour actually in here. I'm lacking orange in here. There's just a wee bit from the calendula. In the lawns here, the oak trees have got their top up of bark for the year, and the lawn has been aged, and around the oak trees have been aged. And I know there's a lot of not lawn haters I would say, but people that don't like lawns out there. But honestly, an aged lawn, it looks really well. It looks flawless, I have to say. I'm a big fan of the lawn once everything is really tidy and ship shape. Hello babies. Also, these little guys have been keeping me occupied to date. Getting big and bad and ready for their future homes. And then very quickly, the tunnel. What do I have in the tunnel? Pumpkins. So pumpkins are getting big. I'm growing a couple of varieties of pumpkin. I have Baby Boo, which is white. I have Zombie, which is kind of like a weird pumpkin with these weird lumps on it. I have all my tomatoes, obviously, along this side. And Atlantic Giant is the other pumpkin I have at the moment. The veg patch has got quite weedy in places, which I'm going to give a good tidy up for. The radish is starting to bolt, so they're going to come out and probably put more lettuce in. We're starting to run low on lettuce. This has been really beneficial this year because although we haven't ate it all ourselves, because the price of bird meal and poultry stuff is quite obviously going up in price like everything in the world at the moment, some of these vegetables have been quite good for our birds and stuff because obviously we have a lot of poultry, so obviously they still need their meal in bits and pieces, but sometimes, you know, those leaves and stuff is good food sources for some of our birds. And then the compost heap is still going really well. I've got a pile of lawn clippings here just from the weekend, which I'm going to use as a base layer, and then take this side and flip it over on top of this, and that'll trap the heat in, and then that heat will come up, and that's what I keep doing. I have a green layer, brown layer, green layer, brown layer. So that's what's going on with the compost. It's not completely broken down yet, but you can see it's almost there. It is getting there. And yeah, I've never done composting before, so I'm happy with the progress or where I'm at. It's probably only enough to mulch 1 or 2 borders, if even, but still it's going to cut a cost somewhere, and it's all green waste from my own garden. Watering has been quite difficult actually in the tunnels at the moment. I do have a sprinkler and stuff. I do top dress all my pots with grit, as you know, which kind of retains the moisture when I'm at work a lot. This wind is just relentless, especially because my house, obviously, or where I'm located, is high altitude anyway. And then these are some of the other seedlings I have behind me here. So yeah, I'm just growing loads, as much as I can from seed this year, or from cutting, or whatever is possible. Just everything really helps at the moment, just to cut and save costs. So yeah, hopefully, I don't know, somebody took enjoyment from that. But anyway, I'm going to go on because I have lots of other things to do. So thank you as always for watching. Bye.